Today's guest is Clay County, North Carolina Chamber of Commerce Executive Director Jim Rich. Welcome, Jim.
Thanks, Rick. I really appreciate you having me on today. I listen to your show religiously on Saturday afternoons, and I
You got to
probably
get a life.
well, I
You
do,
got to
but
get a
see, but
life.
usually that's because I'm going fishing somewhere,
Oh,
and
that's
that's
right.
the background noise on the radio. But thanks so much for having me on.
I like the way you say background noise. I think you summed our show up really succinctly.
No, but I
Background.
do appreciate the real estate stuff because we follow it religiously anyway.
It we're in interesting times right now, and some of that, I've always thought in election years people sit on the sidelines, but statistically, I read something yesterday that doesn't bear out when you look from a national level. But I'm thinking here because we're a second home market, it's not a need. People can have needs year round, doesn't matter election year or not. But for a second home market, I believe it does affect us.
No, and I think we've seen some, at least from the people that I have coming in my office that are looking to relocate here. I think some of them are very shocked, thinking the prices, on a home are what they were 5 years ago, and they're not.
They've
And,
almost doubled in those five
and
years.
they're looking to see, well, what about building? And it's like, well, you're going to be on a list. Consider how long it's going to take for something like that to happen. But we are seeing a lot of younger people coming in to relocate, and most of those are remote workers. So they're still working at a very nice salary, and
Right.
it's like I'll pay what I got to do to get out of the city.
I don't blame them. I don't blame them. Now, you're the executive director of the Clay County Chamber of Commerce. For someone who is unfamiliar of Chamber of Commerce or what y'all do, tell us a little about that.
Well, we kind of do really a couple different things, and I'll just kind of go kind of as a summary of when
Sure.
I spoke to the movers and shakers in Hiawassee probably about a month ago. The
And I missed that week.
that was an interesting time. I mean, I really enjoyed it, and a few of those guys have actually stopped up at my office to talk more about things
It's
too.
I normally go every week. I get a lot of our radio show guests here from that program. They have some great speakers. Plug in the Mountain Movers and Shakers. Every Friday they meet. What's the restaurant?
Sundance Grill.
Sundance Grill. It's from 8 to 9. If you can make it, it's worth the time. But I'm sorry, I interrupted.
No, but with the Chamber of Commerce, what we really do is we, try to work with the local businesses by promoting, giving referrals. That's kind of what we're, kind of the normal
Right.
focus of what we do. We do have a lot of information in our office as far as, business cards, pamphlets that the businesses have done, and we organize those by different categories, whether it's home services, dining. So we do a lot of referring for people that are coming in that are visiting. Also, like for me on some of the referrals, I have a lot of people that come in are looking for an electrician, they're looking for a home builder, who's a good plumber. And, one of the things that I've enjoyed, with my job is I have stuff going on at my house, and I always reach out to a member first. I'm not looking
Sure.
for a discount. What I'm looking for is, are they responsible? Do they return a phone call? And can I refer them, based on my personal experience
Right.
with them? That's mostly what the chamber does. We also publish annually a directory of all of our business members. Very nice thing to have out there that we give away for free to anyone that comes in the office, and we also distribute them through the businesses within our service area. The other part of it is we are actually Clay County's welcome center for tourists.
Oh, nice.
And that's where it gets to be really, really interesting because, I think last year, I guess it was probably end of December, is we do have a sign-in book for people to, just get more information or where are you from. And it was really interesting to me as I kind of, out of boredom one afternoon, I'm like, okay, let's go ahead and dump all of this data into Google Maps and see really where they are, by zip
Sure.
code.
Interesting.
And the fascinating part is that I'd say probably 30% of our visitors to this area are coming out of Florida.
Not surprising.
But when it comes to some of the other things that I'm involved in, for example, the outdoor communities, which is basically looking to do some trails, in Clay County, and I'll probably come back to that in a little bit. We had a big meeting just talking about the data and the impact that tourists and outdoor recreation has in the community. And I'm like, we didn't survey anybody from Florida. I go, which we really need to.
Right. Right.
That's the bulk of the people that are coming in here. But usually those people that come in, they're like, "Where can I go? What are there things to do? I've got kids."
Do they like the great outdoors?
Well, and I think that's what we'll probably come back to this in a little bit too. Is that one thing about where we live? I always describe it to my friends and family is it's a magical place. If you enjoy the outdoors, you've got plenty of stuff to do. If you're looking for, more of that urban type feel, it's not going to work.
And thankfully so.
Exactly.
From my perspective, since the advent of Amazon, you don't need any of that.
No, and it's frustrating, at times too, because you want to support your local businesses.
Sure.
And I'll throw one of my members out there, Tri-County Office Supply.
Love them.
They are, they have so much stuff. If they don't have it, they can get it for you in a matter of a couple days. And it's better than any Staples or Office Depot that I've ever went in.
When I first moved here, I asked, where do you get your office supplies? And someone recommended them, and we've become dear friends since. And there are times I've been in the big city and saw something, and I thought, no, buy it local. When you get home, you go to Tri-County, because we're just a big community here, and we need to support each other. And that's honestly what I love about the Chamber of Commerce, the mission statement, so to speak, of helping our local businesses, to me is priority one, especially in the advent of Amazon. I only recommend Amazon if they're hitting something local.
No, I think the only thing that I consistently buy off coffee is my Keurig pods.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yes, I do buy I go to Sam's, and my wife teaches. We have to be in Asheville once a month, so I raid the Sam's. I get big boxes. Although my sons, they buy it ground and then they put it in some little.
I don't have time for
Yep. That's kind of my attitude
I'm
too.
old school.
They're young. They're young though. Young.
Mr. Coffee was good coffee back in the day.
Back in the day. Come on now. Jim, before we get into some of the upcoming events, let's talk about member benefits. I cheated. I went on your website. One of them is the Office and Welcome Center, so folks can go in there if they need help. You've got the business directory that y'all put out. It says about 3,000 copies y'all distribute. Then your website. What is your domain? What's your website?
It is www.claychambernc.com, or you could just do a Google search, Chamber of Commerce Hayesville, and that should be your number one choice when you pull it up.
So, folks, if you're looking for a local business, that's a great source. Let me see, you put out a comprehensive, another great source, y'all's event calendar on your website.
The event calendar is honestly what I consider one of the best things that we have going. And I've got a volunteer that actually does a lot of the things on the calendar. And if you're having an event, you can reach out to us here at the Chamber. If you've got a flyer, we can go ahead and post it on our events calendar. But Janice Height, wonderful volunteer. She'll start going through all sorts of different websites. If she finds something we can post, she's going to go ahead and put it on there. That's our community calendar.
All right. And Facebook, if you want to follow and learn about some of the upcoming events, y'all also are very faithful to Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook, we do. Betsy Parker is my volunteer that runs that. Usually anything that we get in the chamber, that's going to go on the calendar, we also send that on to Betsy so she can go ahead and post it. And then also for all of the members of the chamber, we put out 2 newsletters a week in Constant Contacts. One of them is usually highlighting business-related things. The other one is kind of more event-oriented.
Okay. You do a weekly radio show.
I do a weekly radio show, a Facebook Live on WKRK in Murphy. It's mostly every Friday. Occasionally, I do like to take a day off, but typically I do have a guest on there as well, something local that's going on that weekend. I have a lot of fun with it. I think that I didn't tell my wife about it when I first started. In a couple months, I come home. She goes, "So you got a radio show?" And I'm like, "Well, you'd be my worst critic." I go, "I don't need
Oh,
that."
they always are your worst critic. I'm married too, brother. I know. You do a monthly business after hours.
We do. We do something the second Thursday of every month, with two exceptions. We don't do one in December just because it's getting near the
Christmas.
holiday season. People have their parties, things like that. And then the one that we have in October is usually the Friday night before Pumpkin Chunkin'. We do a little event for the guys that are running the machines and launching the pumpkins half a mile down the road.
And that is a great segue into events.
Yes.
I know you're right in the middle of event season, so to speak. Tell us a little more about what's up and coming in Clay County, North Carolina.
Up and coming. The next thing we have going on is actually the 4th of July parade and the Freedom Festival. That'll be on the 4th of July from 9 o'clock until 1.
If someone wants to attend that, where should they start lining up? Put their seats, so to speak.
I honestly, if you can find the parking and be on the square, it's probably the best place to go ahead and
Okay.
view it. But the parade route actually takes you down the road to George's Hardware. So anywhere between the square and George's is a nice place to view. But also up and down Sanderson Street all the way to the library. I almost called it Media Center, library. The parade route comes through there as well. But that's the next thing that's coming up. We will have some fun and games for the kids, so if they want to go ahead and enjoy some games, First Free Will Church is going to be doing the games. And also, we will have a couple of food vendors there as well. Hayesville Q for barbecue. Rodney's going to be there no matter what.
Love their brisket. Oh my gosh, their brisket.
And then, obviously, the next big event after that is Pumpkin Chunkin'. That'll be on October 19th and October 20th out there at Vic Payne's Place off of Sedgwick Road. Last year, we had about 7,700 attendees over the 2 days. It was very interesting for me, having never been able to go to it and all of a sudden being in charge of it. Presented its own little set of challenges and some very long days, but it was very rewarding, very successful. And at this point right now, I'm happy to announce that I think I have one food vendor space left, and that's a 10 by
Tremendous.
10.
Tremendous.
So all the food is already filled up. So craft vendors, art vendors, informational vendors, I still have plenty of space for that. All the attractions, as far as the bounce houses, the train ride, all that's already set up too. So
That's
it's
awesome.
it's moving along.
That really is awesome, though. That far out, you've gotten.
Well, considering it's really kind of funny, Rick, is that my 1 year anniversary in this position was last week.
I
And
was at the chamber when we discussed that.
and so as you learn, it's like, okay, it takes at least a year to see what the calendar looks like. So it's like, when can we start this? And let's get this done so we're not worrying about it the day before.
Right. Uh, Events like that, you think about it. You're expecting around 7,700. How many folks visit our area? They bring and spend their dollars here, which helps our local economy, helps each and every one of us, and then they leave.
Well, and something I forgot to mention too is the Friday night before Pumpkin Chunkin', we also do the chili event on the square. So we're actually, trying to recruit some people that want to go ahead and cook their chili or a pumpkin dessert. I have all that information in the chamber office, or you could email me directly at director@claychambernc.com.
And your phone number at the chamber.
Is area code 828-389-3704.
Tell me a little about yourself. How did you end up in Clay County, North Carolina?
It's kind of a long story,
Well,
but
we've got 2 minutes.
okay, I'll do the very abbreviated version. Is that we started coming to Hayesville for vacation, I guess probably about 12 years ago. And we really fell in love with it because we had tried all the mountain towns and it never failed. We always ended up back in Hayesville. Long story short, we were just about ready to sign a contract with a builder. We had some property out in Tusquity, and we were up here meeting with him when COVID hit.
Oh,
And pretty much at that point, it was, what are we going to do? Came up, started looking for houses 4 times a year. Didn't work out. Market was crazy.
oh yeah.
And we got back from vacation the last time, and my wife had been pressuring her doctors. She works for a large cancer research facility. She goes, "Can I work out of state? I'm already a remote worker." And they gave her the approval for North Carolina.
Speaks well of your wife.
I put in my 2 week notice with the school district, who I'd worked for 32 years, and we loaded up the truck like Clampets and moved to North Carolina.
Your school background. What were you when you left?
When I left, I was a school principal for 14 years before I retired.
My wife was a school principal. I wouldn't wish that position on anyone.
There's times. I mean, for me, I think the funnest thing about being at the chamber is I'm not being, I'm not having to deal with angry parents, angry students.
Sure.
Generally, everyone I deal with is in a good mood and happy to talk to me.
And that's a blessing. That's a blessing. So let's go back over. July 4th, you've got the parade. When is that again?
From 9 o'clock until 10 is the festival. The parade will start promptly at 10.
Okay, and it's around the square and to George's, past George's.
Yeah, it's going to actually start down at First Free Will, come up to Squiddy Street, then up Sanderson, back by George's, and I think over Ritter, and then back on down to the church. Same route that we used last year.
And Pumpkin Chunkin' is at when?
October 19th and 20th from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m.
Folks, I hope that you can attend those events. As always, if you have any questions, you can reach Jim at what number?
Area code 828-389-3704.
Thanks for listening.